We had our wedding there on the 13th of June, and yeah, we were left very overpromised and extremely disappointed. And we the, the 2 weeks after the wedding that we had still remaining on the island, we sent the owner um, quite an extensive email, being very factual and trying to provide um, some positive feedback so he can try and improve the service for future couples who wish to get married there. And we had no response, to which I maybe thought, okay, I was aware there was a business exchange, so maybe we'd send it to the email to the wrong address. But then I got my father to get in touch with him, and he replied directly back to my father straight away and basically said that I won't be replying to a ridiculously long email. They've had their wedding, and these people are looking for a fight. Um, so we haven't sent any further emails, and we just wanted to share our experience with the wider public of the Isle of Man, so people can be aware. Future couples can be aware when they're booking.
It's the reality.
For possibly at Bradda. So
Let's start with the planning process because, you guys live quite far away. So clearly, planning the wedding, planning it from far away, you want everything to be perfect and then choosing the spot. What made you guys choose Bradda and how was it in the lead up?
Well, I've actually only been to the Isle of Man once before in 2022. And, I was just captivated by the beauty of the island. It was just a magical place to me. And because it was so special to Tom, it of course became very special to me.
But I am from the Isle of Man. I
Yeah.
left 11 years ago. So yeah.
And so when we were there, well, when we decided to get married on the island, not being able to go around and visit different venues, the one that really stood out to us was Bradda Glen because of the fact that we'd been on the beautiful walk around the head and past the venue and up the hill to Milner's Tower, and we had really enjoyed that experience. We loved the outlook and the view. So we thought, let's settle on somewhere where we've got a common experience, at least in that outlook. And that will, especially having people travel from Australia, that will really showcase the beauty of the island. So we went about booking that in and making decisions about, all the different things that you need to decide on, the music and the catering and the drinks and
The menu.
yeah,
Yeah.
the florist and everybody like that. And we went for, all these different local people who we'd been recommended by Tom's family and others around the town. And we were just so excited and so hopeful for this magical day.
And just I mean, there's many. We could talk for you know a long time, but if we try to list kind of what went wrong, we laid out clear expectations. So halfway through the like maybe 6 months prior, the business changed hands, and a few things went quiet, and we started to get a little bit worried, and it was Christmas time. And here in Australia, lots of people take holidays, and we maybe thought, hey, maybe these people are doing the same thing back home on the Isle of Man. And anyway, and we were heading away for Christmas, and when we got back, we had an email saying it had changed hands. And then, being such a long distance away, we sat down, we arranged several Zoom calls, and just over and over again, we heard the same words that were, anything you want, it's your special day. What you want, we will deliver. So we devised a menu we wanted, which was, yes, we can do that. Yes, we will do that, over and over again. And just to try and break down kind of what went wrong, that the expectations that we discussed before the wedding, just none of it was delivered on the day.
It was
So
one of those things where we originally booked it in with the previous owners. We had the initial Zoom call to talk about what our vision was for the day, and that owner, Adrian Christian, was incredibly supportive. He was really great at directing us and answering our questions, and his communication was exceptional. And we were so thrilled about all the details we'd planned out, um, and the menu and everything. And he'd given us a quote for the price, and everything was set in, and we'd paid him our deposit. Then fast forward about 6 months or so to January when it had changed hands, and that's when we found out. The next meeting that we had was with Adrian, but was with the new owners present as well. And that's when we found out that it had been changed over. Now, we were assured by the new owner that everything that we had confirmed with Adrian would be honoured, the price would be honoured, all of the arrangements would be the same as what was promised. Now, if there had been a discussion of, well, actually, we don't, the new owners didn't feel as though it was a reasonable price that he'd quoted us, or the new owners team didn't feel as though they could manage the menu that we had devised. That would have been a discussion that we would be open to. We neither of us work in the food industry or events industry or anything like that. So it's really difficult to understand whether you are having expectations which are beyond measure. Whereas if that had been communicated to us, oh, perhaps we need to pull back on this menu item here or that menu item there, then that would have been something we'd be open to, because we'd rather have it be a realistic offering that they can provide to us than something that's beyond their capabilities, and then we're left disappointed, which is instead what has happened, unfortunately.
and instead, yeah, the guy shook his head, agreed, said he was going to deliver what we wanted, and then on the day delivered his own thing. The quality of the main dishes, which was a steak, a salmon, and chicken, were exceptional.
Beautiful. They were lovely.
And all our guests have said how good they were. But it was the organization around that. So we did a pre-order months ago. We devised a very good,
Menu.
a very good menu, what we thought was an exceptional kind of pre-order, getting all our orders from our guests. And then the time came to deliver the meals to the table, and it was complete confusion. I mean, one side of it was maybe that a few of our guests had maybe, couldn't remember what they had ordered, but we were promised that would not be an issue.
No.
So we sent spreadsheet after spreadsheet to the business with a detailed description of where people were seating and where they were sitting and what meal they were having, so that the meal drop should be as easy as anything. Yet the meal time came and I was having to find my phone, which my mum had, because I didn't want to be on my phone for the day, loading up the spreadsheet and saying, this guest has got that, this guest has got that.
And that was a point of discussion in the lead up. And we met with the owner on Tuesday prior to our Saturday wedding. And that was one of the things we discussed. Do you have the list? Do you know what people are eating? And he assured us yes.
And yeah, like he promised it would work. And we would have rather he held his hands up and said, hey, look, I'm actually new to this wedding game. Maybe I don't think that will work. Would you guys maybe just prefer if I have the meals ready more like a carvery, and one table can come up and the other table can come up, and you'll pick your steak or you'll pick your salmon or you'll pick your chicken. And then also with the tables, there were many items missing. I think my table only had a salad. We didn't have any green veg.
There were things
substituted with things like chips that we didn't want until the evening. Till the evening meal.
The canapes were really peculiar and not what we had ordered. They were really
he just substituted
really
other things, basically.
And as another example, we were well, that's right, the kids meals, there were 3 kids meals that they selected ahead of time, just similar to the adults, and I think 2 of those 3 options were served, so the kids were just given what they got out of those 2 options rather than actually being provided with what they'd selected.
And we had
Pizzas was one of the option. They were not cut, so the parents then had to go over to the children's table and cut up their food for them. They were burnt.
and we had 19 children at our
Yeah,
wedding.
so it wasn't
Probably
insignificant.
probably 12, at least 12 of them had traveled from Australia or America or even the UK and London, and this was a big,
international wedding.
a big international wedding, and we were overpromised too much, and he just didn't deliver on the day. And then to jump to the dessert table, there were things on the dessert table which we hadn't ordered, and we were also promised that we had this vision of a table that people go up to and it's all beautiful.
They can help themselves
and
to
they
a
can
very
help
small
themselves,
dessert.
rather than a kind of the dessert being dropped at your seat, because we wanted our guests
to be communal,
to by that point be able to like mingle and kind of go and meet other guests maybe they hadn't seen in the day. And there were just, the dessert table was non-existent. It was just a load of desserts dropped on a table.
Yeah, and we had, the thing was, we had images of what we wanted that dessert table to look like. We had purchased items to place on the table to display the desserts, so that they would fit the image that we were hoping for. He acknowledged on the Tuesday when we had our meeting that he had seen the image. He said, "I'll make it beautiful for you. It'll be beautiful. Don't you worry." And one of the items was a cheesecake. We like mini cheesecakes. Everything was going to be small so people could just pick at what they wanted. And I had asked him, "Do you need us to provide the little glass jars for the cheesecakes to be served in and constructed in?" And he said yes. And so we did that. We ordered them online, we had them delivered, and we passed them on to him on the Friday when we were setting up as he'd asked. So he actually asked for them, and yet he never used them. They came back to us.
He didn't even get them out.
They were never taken out of the box. So he never had he never had the what's the word I'm after? He was never intending to actually use those cheesecake pots, which was just one item of many that were different. There was a lot of store-bought things that were pretty clearly just bargain basement
I guess,
produce.
looking back on it now we're back in Australia and, back into daily life, we saw a continued same message of shaking his head, whatever you want, we will deliver, over promises, yet when he must have known in the back of his mind, I'm going to ignore all this and I'm just going to deliver what I think is reasonable, for what was an exceptionally large price we paid for what should have been a premium venue on the Isle of Man. So we were also
that price from when we first locked it in as well with the previous owner
by about 20%.
And the thing that felt really, really disgraceful to us was that he had agreed in purchasing the business to honour those bookings that he had, and we'd been told that by the previous owner. And then when it came close enough to our wedding that it was too late to do anything about it, to reschedule, to make any dramatic changes, he then decided to tell us that he was increasing the cost significantly.
He didn't even tell us. He sent us an invoice.
That's right. He just sent us
at least 20% more than what we had budgeted for, and we had saved hard for the last 5+ years
and
to do this wedding on the Isle of Man, which we had hoped was going to showcase what an amazing paradise island, and what Brad ahead should be doing themselves.
It was, by that stage you're left thinking, what are my options here to tell all my friends and family who are coming from Australia and from around the world. We had, I think, about 8 or so different countries where people were coming from. Am I supposed to tell them to cancel their plans and change their holidays and everything? We're not doing the wedding anymore? Or are you supposed to forego a lot of the planning that's already happened to try and scrounge together another place at the last minute, because this man is, sort of really overcharging what he had led us to believe he would be offering. It was
I
just
yeah,
it was very disappointing, and despite us having an amazing time on the day with our guests, that was entirely down to the guests. The view was beautiful, the location can't be faulted, and that's why we feel so strongly about getting the word out locally to let people know that not even just couples with wedding planning, but other events, you need to be really mindful of the way that this business is being operated at the moment, and it's such a shame
but
because it's got so much to
but
offer.
but also, I mean, I guess, we could keep going for hours, but
Yes, yes.
it's about, it and I'm probably keen to wrap this up and let you, carry on with your workday. But it's not about revenge and trying to hurt somebody, but we expected some accountability for when we sent an email that we spent more than a week writing, listing a factual, taking any emotional side out of it. We wrote clear facts about what had been promised and what happened on the day. And we expected some accountability for it. And what we had was a message to my father saying, these guys are looking for trouble and I won't be replying. Um,
Yeah.
and,
That felt really infantilizing, quite frankly, to have someone write to our parents as opposed to us and confront the situation and just speak to us.
and we paid a significant amount of money. We were traveling in Japan beforehand. We then get this invoice, which is 20% more. We have to find more money to pay the guy. And it should have been one of the most amazing days of our life. And we've been left disappointed. Our guests who traveled from Australia have been left disappointed. And we now expected a response from the business owner, at least apologizing, taking on board the feedback, and willing to improve his service for other couples who are booked in the future. And what we've been told is basically, I won't be responding to them. So
Um,
that's why we feel strongly about going publicly and speaking about our experience. And it's not, like I said before, it's not to, to hurt the guy or bring him down, but to give our experience. So because
yes.
there's many venues on the Isle of Man which are superior to what we had on the
and
day.
that will actually respect your wishes as people who are trying to have a wonderful event.
It's your wedding day. It's one of the most special days of your lives. Reflecting back on it now, has this hampered that day or that memory of that day for you and your guests? And my second question would be, since putting that post on Facebook, I know there've been other people that's been commenting and sharing their own experience as well. Would you guys like to respond to those 2 points?
Well, to be honest, in terms of that first question, we are trying our hardest not to have it dampen the emotions that we felt on that day. We were so grateful to all of the people who came from near and far to celebrate with us. And when we looked into each other's eyes and read our vows, and when we spoke to our family and friends that day in our speeches, all of those words were from the heart. And we were so pleased to have all of the people there. So, yes, in many ways, our experience was really tainted by the service, the communication from this business. But we will look back fondly on the day as having an amazing time with our friends and family there to celebrate us and our life together.
Yeah, it was kind of comforting, I guess, in a way, and reassuring that the couple I spoke to had a similar experience. There were a few things that left me a little bit shaken that they experienced, which we already knew about. So, better communication from the owner of the business would be one piece of advice, and set clear expectations. Things like, telling his customers that actually I don't have an alcohol license, so you guys will need to source your own alcohol, not making promises that I hope to have it soon. And just so that he can continue in the business, which has been left to him and handed to him from the previous owners, because he's got an exceptional business. So if he messes this up,
it's
I mean, it's the
important
Isle
to
of Man,
feel
word of mouth
around,
quickly goes around.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate you both chatting with me. Is there anything else you guys would like to add or say? Anything you want to mention we perhaps didn't?
I think just ultimately we would definitely advise people to think carefully before planning an event at this venue, which is such a shame. I think we would encourage really clear communication, but then again, the email trail from us and all the documentation and all the planning we put in, we had great communication with him. It just didn't come back in honestly in the other direction. So I think our final remarks would be that we can't possibly, in good faith, recommend this venue
No way.
to other couples wanting to get married and other people wanting to host celebrations and events at the venue. I think
Until things
until
change
things
and
drastically
improve.
change, there are just so many more capable and well-deserving businesses out there in the Isle of Man who are slogging it out to do the right thing by their clients. And I think go and put your business there instead and have an amazing time and trust that you are actually getting what you are asking for.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and just to reiterate, like I've said, but you know, we're not trying to hurt the business.
malicious
We're
at
not.
all.
It's not revenge. We just expected some kind of accountability, and we simply didn't get that. And we paid a lot of money, paid over what was originally quoted, and we were left disappointed. And to then get no response, we felt very strongly about going publicly to let everybody else know our experience, so that they can maybe take a second think and consider other options.
We really did feel as though our feedback email, the initial email, was incredibly factual. We removed all emotion from it. We purely stated what was promised and what we felt was lacking based on those promises. We gave ample time for him to respond. He didn't. We followed up again, gave a lot of time. He didn't respond the second time. That's when I think we wrote a third email and we asked Tom's dad to get in touch with him because they had been in communication over things with the lead up to the wedding as well. And that's when he'd responded to Tom's dad. So the fact that he was receiving these feedback emails, chose to ignore them, that's what's left us in this position where we're speaking about it on a wider scale, because we just feel as though that shows a lot of disrespect to us and we just don't want other people to be in that same circumstance.
Yeah.